and any that's left in the pot. That's between you and the spoon that you enjoy it with. And welcome back to Alt Baking Bootcamp. I'm your host, Chef Elise. I'm a recipe developer and pastry chef. Today, we're gonna make a vegan caramel apple tart. And if that wasn't delicious enough, we're gonna top it with a coconut whipped cream. So in this bowl, I just have some ground up vegan graham crackers. They are easy enough to either blend off or just pop them into a bag and just beat them until they've become like a sand-like texture, just like this. We have our vegan butter, which has already been melted. We're just gonna pour that atop. And now I'm just gonna work it until it comes together. So see how the crumbles are starting to stick together? That's exactly what we want. So what we're looking for is that when it presses, it holds its shape. I'm gonna work it over just a little bit more. That looks good. So I have my spring foam pan and I've already lined it with parchment paper. And I'm just gonna drop in our crust base. Right now, it's just a mound and I'm gonna start with my spatula to work it down into an even layer. So I make sure to push some of it up onto the lip because that will help stabilize our tart. And then my little trick is I just take the flat bottom of my measuring cup and I just push firmly into the sides around the base. And I just repeat this process until it's just really smooth. So the last step I like to do is I just take one of my fingers, I press it down in between that small space, and I use my measuring cup to push it up against, and I use my finger to press it down to level it out. And I think it looks pretty beautiful. So we'll pop this into an oven that's been preheated to 350 degrees and we'll let that bake off for about 10 to 12 minutes. Trust me, you'll know when it's done because you will smell it and you'll want to eat it then, but we're not going to stop there. Our crust has been set. We pulled it out of the oven, we let it cool at room temperature, and then we finished it off by putting it into the fridge for about 20 minutes. And the way that we knew that it was done, other than smelling incredible, was that it actually begins to pull away from the edges once it's completely set. So now we're gonna move on to our quick caramel. So to a pot over low-medium heat, we're gonna add some brown sugar, some vanilla, cornstarch, and then right here we have coconut cream. I am actually going to drain off some of the excess fluid by using a metal sieve and a paper towel. And you can just kind of gather it and press. And the coconut fat that remains, we're gonna put into our caramel. It's a little messy, but trust this process. So we're gonna pop it into here. So I have a little whisk here, and we're gonna whisk to combine it. And it really comes together very quickly. We're gonna keep working this until the sugars fully dissolve, which only takes a couple of moments. And then now my favorite part. We're gonna pour this directly in. You just pour it all around the base. So you can just easily move it around the base of the tart shell, making sure that you get all of its edges. If you have any big air bubbles, you can just drop it. And then look at that, it's beautiful. So we're gonna place this into the fridge to let that set. And while it's setting, we're gonna thinly slice our apple. I have 2 Granny Smith apples here. And I do recommend using a Granny Smith or a more tart apple. You don't want just sweet, sweet, sweet. You wanna have a little bit of bite, balance. So I'm gonna just break this down. There's one of 2 ways you can do this. You can cut directly down the center, and then you'll see you can cut downward and you can remove your core out, or you can just proceed to thinly slice your apple as you need, and then just cut away the bit that has the core in the center once you hit it. And you just wanna try and get it as thin as possible. I think we have enough apples. So I'm gonna go grab our tart that's been chilly in the fridge for probably about a half an hour, and we're gonna lay these so beautifully on the inside. So I'm just gonna pop our tart shell from out of our spring foam pan. So we're just gonna add our slices on the outside, and we're gonna work our way around in a clockwise or counterclockwise fashion. And we're just gonna lightly layer them all over the entirety of the tart. It's gonna be so delicious and so beautiful. Feel free to just put the one layer around and kind of call it a day. Add a little bit more. So this is our apple tart laid. We're gonna pop this back into the fridge and let that continue to set. And while it is, we're gonna make our whipped coconut cream topping. Now we're gonna make probably my favorite part of the entire process, which is a whipped coconut cream topping. It is so luscious, so light, and honestly, I can't believe it's vegan. Let's add this coconut to the mixer, and then we're just gonna add in a little bit of vanilla, and then we're gonna start on low, and then we're gonna whip on high until we have stiff full peaks. So now that we have our cream kind of whipped, I'm gonna incorporate in 1 tablespoon of confectioner sugar. We're gonna pop this back on. We're gonna let this go on high. Okay. As you can see, it's come together. So I'm going to scoop onto our tart. And when I tell you, this is so decadent. You just take a spoon or offsetting spatula, and you just spread it around atop your apples. Now I can get to the best part, the pièce de résistance. I get to cut into this and dig in. It's so good. And it's okay if it's messy. I could not wait. But for those of you who are not into having a messy dessert, all you have to do is just pop it into the fridge and let it set a little bit further. Oh my gosh, so good. Grab a piece. I'm not even bothering with a fork. I'm just gonna dig in, as is. Oh my God, dude, this is so good. It all pairs so perfectly together. You have the nice crunch from the tart because you have that lovely graham cracker crumb. And then you have that velvety, rich caramel right in the center with the tart crisp apple on top with that luscious coconut cream. You're gonna love me for this one. I love me for this one. It's so good. For more recipes like this, make sure you subscribe to Well+Good. I really hope that you enjoy this. I know that I have. So I'm gonna go and finish this. But thanks so much. I'll see you next time.